Hello and welcome back to the East Carolina Law Group. My name is Attorney Tim Koller, and this is our second video in our series. You've just watched our introduction, hopefully. And this video is going to be entitled Selecting Your Attorney. Now, the reason you're watching this video is we would like you to become our client, but we also understand that not everybody who watches this is going to hire us. And the purpose for this video is to give you some helpful tips and information on just how to select the right attorney for you. Now, let me just start by saying that one of the most important things about selecting your attorney is first, whether or not you and that attorney are able to work together. The most effective relationship and the cases with the best outcome are those cases where the attorney and the clients can work and interact together and assist each other in the process. Many times, what I hear from prospective clients, potential clients, or just people on the street is that I got to hire this attorney because, they're the most expensive attorney on the street, and I know because they're so expensive, I'm going to get the outcome that I want. And this is, in fact, not the actual case. The one biggest misnomer among the public is that you can buy a win. This is not true. You cannot give an attorney a case with nothing and hope for them to make something out of it. Sometimes I have to explain this to clients. You can't bring me a case with nothing and expect me to create a castle out of it. You just can't do it. So you've got to work with that attorney. So number one, find an attorney that you can work with. Find an attorney who has a good personality that you mesh with. Because many times you'll find attorneys that are wonderful attorneys and are very good and have good records that you just can't work with, you just can't get along with, or you don't understand, or they don't speak your language. Best way that I can put it. So find somebody that you work with. Second of all, find an attorney that works in that area of law for which you're seeking. In other words, don't go find a family attorney to do a criminal case. Maybe you have an attorney that did a divorce for you years ago, and you are now being charged with simple possession or something of that nature. And you go back to that attorney, I want you, I've got to have you, you did such a great job. A lot of times, that attorney is going to say, this is not my area of law, I don't practice this, you need to find someone else. And they can make a recommendation for you, but you don't insist that just because you had a working relationship previously in a completely different type of manner, that same working relationship or that attorney will be competent in that area of law. Doesn't mean that they're not. There are many multifaceted attorneys out there. However, don't expect that because one attorney does one thing, they're going to be good at another thing. I know many wonderful criminal attorneys that are just not there in family cases, and I know very wonderful family attorneys that should never be in criminal court. That being said, I'm probably one of those. I'm just not the kind of guy that likes to do criminal work, and I don't have that kind of a relationship with the DA's office to where I'd probably be your best choice for a criminal case. But I've got a guy. Now that's one thing that the East Carolina Law Group can always offer you, is if there's an area of law or a jurisdiction that we don't service, we've got someone we can refer you to. One of the areas of law that we were doing for a little while that we don't anymore is bankruptcy, but we have a wonderful contact. We have a wonderful network of attorneys and a good referral contact to give you who can come in and help you out with that bankruptcy case and really help you the way you should be helped. If we're not competent, if we don't cover that area of law, we've got somebody for you. We also have other attorney contacts and networks in other jurisdictions. For example, we're extremely close to Virginia. If you're in Norfolk, we would highly recommend, if you have a family case or an immigration case or a personal injury or a traffic case, go seek out the Ernest Law Group. That's Ernest Law Group, and you can find them on Facebook. The owner, Anna Ernest, is actually a former roommate of mine from law school. She's a wonderful attorney. She's hardcore. She's very good for her clients, and she's got a wonderful practice set up in Norfolk. So if you need an attorney there, Ernest Law Group, look them up. If you're in Virginia Beach, the Virginia Beach Law Group, Dave Johnson is actually one of my former professors and a good friend and colleague and a really good attorney, and he's got an awesome crop of associates. Anna Clark Sass is his family associate, and she is absolutely phenomenal. So if you need an attorney over in Virginia Beach, I'd highly recommend that you go to the Virginia Beach Law Group. Excellent groups, but this is the kind of network that we provide for you, that if you have an area of law or a jurisdiction that we don't service, we'll get you to the right person. And it's not going to be anything additional to us, okay? So selecting your attorney, find the right attorney. Find the right attorney that matches your personality. Number 2, find the right attorney that practices that area of law and is familiar. And number 3, find the right attorney for the right jurisdiction, meaning the correct state. Because just because you're an attorney licensed in North Carolina doesn't mean you're licensed in Virginia. Lastly, find an attorney in that area of expertise that actually has a plan for you. Now, to that extent, there are many attorneys out there that have been practicing for years. Just because you found an attorney that's been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to get you the best results. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be as attuned to things. The point here is that time does give you some advantage in terms of practice and in terms of experience. On the other hand, time is not everything. So just because you've got an attorney, maybe you hired an attorney that's a year or 2 years out of law school, doesn't mean you're going to have an incompetent attorney, and it doesn't mean that the other side, if they've got a more seasoned attorney, is going to have a leg up on you. Be inclined to talk to your attorney and ask questions. Ask direct questions. Don't be afraid to offend your attorney. If your attorney gets offended by a question that you ask, as long as it's a reasonable question, if they're offended, find a different attorney. Now this leads me to my last point. Don't drop attorneys. Don't change attorneys like underwear. And I say this because the bar is a very small organization of people, and word will get around. And if you are constantly changing attorneys, it's going to get around. And if there are attorneys that are hard to work with, they're also very, very difficult clients to work with at times. So don't be one of those. Work with your attorney. Not everything is always going to go right. And just because something goes wrong, it doesn't mean it's your attorney's fault. Sometimes the facts just don't fall in where you thought they were, and sometimes things develop over the course of a case that require you to change your tactics. But that being said, be flexible. I'm a late in life lawyer. When I was in the military, we used to have a saying called Semper Gumby, always flexible. Be flexible. So again, to recap, selecting your attorney. Find an attorney that you can work with, personality-wise. Find an attorney that works in that area of law that you need help in. Find an attorney that has a good reputation among the bar, that people respect, and don't be results driven. Because any attorney who tells you, I will win this for you, is not the attorney for you. No attorney should ever sell you a bill of goods and promise you an outcome, because any attorney that does that is setting you up for a big, big disappointment. I always tell my clients, particularly my family clients, redefine in your mind what constitutes victory. So keep that in mind when you're looking for your attorney. Lastly, be ready to pay for your attorney. Unless you're getting a public defender, lawyer services are not free. In fact, they're downright expensive at times. And there's a reason that they're expensive. To run a law firm and to run a law practice is a lot of overhead. There's staff costs, malpractice costs, building costs. There's a lot of costs that go in. Just because your attorney may be billing you between $150 and $300 an hour doesn't mean that they're getting screaming rich on you. As a matter of fact, they're probably not taking home nearly as much as you think they are. But just be prepared to pay your attorney. And just remember this, Abraham Lincoln once said that an attorney's words and advice are his stock in trade. So remember, if you call your attorney, you're going to pay. Now this will lead us into our next video and our next segment on attorney fees and understanding exactly what it is that you're paying for and how you're billing. So this will kind of help you preliminarily understand what to expect. So again, to recap, find an attorney that you can work with personally, that you can interact with, that has the personality that matches your style. Find an attorney that works in that area of law and is familiar with that area of law. Find an attorney for the appropriate jurisdiction. Now, the last tip that I'll give you is try to find an attorney, particularly in North Carolina, because we're in judicial districts. Find an attorney who's in the judicial district where your case presides, or at least very close to your judicial district. Because every judicial district has some different rules on how things are calendared and scheduled, and certain rules on how things are applied. It doesn't change the law, it changes the process and the procedure. So it's important to have an attorney that either understands or knows how to get some contacts within that district. So remember, your attorney is going to have to travel for your court case. The further you make them drive, the more you're going to pay. Because your attorney, the minute they start thinking about your case, is going to be billing. If they're driving to your court hearing, they're billing. So if you're making them drive 2 or 3 hours for your case, you're going to be paying for it. Thank you for tuning into the East Carolina Law Group, where your family is our priority. You can find us on the web at www.eastcarolinalaw.com. You can find us on our Facebook page at the East Carolina Law Group. You can also call us at 252-453-2273. And if you want to find more videos and keep updated on when we put some more of these kind of things up for some more self-help kind of information, you can do so by subscribing to our YouTube channel by clicking on the link right about here. It's there. Down. Yes, right there. Subscribe by clicking our link. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this informative, and have a great day.